This video is about the U.S. housing market, new housing starts, and new home sales in relation to lumber prices. Hello again, everyone. Keta Kosman, publisher of Madison's Lumber Reporter. Okay, so this video is going to talk about the housing market. And people were freaking out at the end of last year, and I think a little bit that was exaggerated. Okay, so interest rates, we knew they were going to go up, and then they went up, and certain amounts of contracts to buy new homes collapsed. And I mean, I'm not to be whatever, but people who, if they are eliminated from buying a home because of a 0.02% change in the interest rate, then maybe they shouldn't have been trying to buy a home that expensive in the first place, right? So that amount of overheated housing, I think the increase in the interest rates helped get it back into safe territory, like economically for people, so they don't get into a situation where they're overextended and are in a panic about, potentially in the future, how do I pay for this, and getting into problem with their home ownership. Okay, so I am backed up by the data in saying that, because full year 2022 housing starts is almost flat compared to full year 2021. So we had all the, as you saw, dropping month over month data into the end of last year, but full year put all together, it's almost the same as the year before. Single family was down a little bit. So total construction activity, relatively even in full year 2022 compared to the year before. Single family down somewhat, which, that's expected in terms of what was going on with the mortgages and the real estate. And that does affect the lumber prices, because single family starts are the largest proportion of total housing starts and uses the most wood. So that is really where the bulk of Canadian and U.S. Lumber sales go into, the U.S. single family housing construction. And for the new home sales, there was somewhat of a drop, really nominal, not as terrible seeming as a lot of people were trying to explain toward the end of last year. House prices, new house prices did drop. So that indicates, like what I was saying, about people chasing after these really increasing house prices, potentially getting financing that maybe their own home financial situation could not support. Okay, so let's look at some of the graphs, and I'll explain a little bit more what I'm saying here with some of the actual numbers, so people can have a really good idea where we are right now at the beginning of March 2023. The housing data is for January, and the lumber prices are for February. So this graph is showing you from 2020 to present January 2023 housing starts total, the top line, the purple line, and one unit single family starts, the light blue line that's following it on a lower scale. And then those three colored lines are my lumber prices. As you can see, that volatility that we had seems to be working out, and we're coming into a little bit more stability for lumber pricing. Okay, and so as I was saying, for the full year of 2022, total housing starts were 1.55 million, which is down only 3% from full year 2021. Single family starts were 1.01 million, which is down almost 11% full year 2022 over full year 2021. January total starts are down from December, which is normal, seasonal slowdown, and is down 21% from January of 2021. Single family starts were down only slightly in January compared to December, and single family permits were almost flat. So then, speaking of permits, which is what we really look at as an indicator of starts coming up, January total permits were almost flat from December after a big jump in December, which indicates that March and April starts could increase. Great. And so this is the benchmark Western Spruce Pine Fir KD 2x4 number 2 and better lumber price. We call it the benchmark because it's produced and consumed by the highest volume across North America and was one of the 3 colored lines on the previous graph. So this is showing you the blue line this year, 2023, to the end of February, and then the yellow line last year, and of course 2021 with those crazy highs that nobody ever saw before and we're expecting to never see again. So the week ending February 24th, 2023, this price was US $417 per thousand board feet, down $53 or 11% from the previous week when it was $470, up $45 or 12% from the previous month when it was $373. So in terms of these prices that we're seeing now and people asking, what is the new normal going to be, or what is the new bottom for these prices? Where I'm seeing the normal, I expect to be in the range of $500 to $700 per thousand board feet. And I say that because the cost of production all across the continent, but especially in this region of the Pacific Northwest, has increased dramatically since those prices that we used to see for those 10 years from about 2006 to 2017, ranging somewhere in the $250 to $300 per thousand board feet range. That low of 1 month ago of $373, I think is going to be the bottom. Lower than the bottom, but don't expect prices to fall any lower. And even if you look at futures, which is just a gauge, that backs up what I'm saying now. And just in terms of the history, which again, not likely to see those incredible high prices of $1,600 and $1,400 from 2021 and last year respectively, unless of course there's another huge circumstance that happens to society. So the week of February 24th, this price was again $417. That's down $913 or 69% from the same week last year when it was $1,130, and is down $623 or 60% from 2 years ago when it was $1,040. Okay, and so really I want to point out, and I think an important metric for people to keep in their minds as they're looking toward this spring that's going to be coming up in the next month or so, the sale of new homes, the data has been increasing for 4 months straight. Okay, so that slowdown that we saw at the end of last year, it wasn't as terrible as some people have tried to say. Yes, every month it dropped, and compared to the year before it dropped, but then as the end of the year came on, and now as we have the January data, the new home sale numbers have been increasing. So let's look at some more graphs of the lumber prices with the new home sales to see what is the relationship there, and maybe give a little bit of an idea where we might be looking at in the coming months. And so here at Madison's, we're more interested in new home sales because that drives demand for new housing construction, which is where the lumber sales go into. And as you can see by the purple line at the top there has been an increase in the past 4 months. So January 2023, new home sales were down 19% compared to January 2022. But as I was saying, and others have been saying, possibly the housing market was a little bit overheated and some bit of a slowdown is a good idea. Important to note that housing completions are improving, which means that we're working through the backlog, and the lag between the house actually being built but sold is closing. Which means, of course, that homes under construction is also dropping as the construction activity is catching up with the home sales. So of homes sold, those that were completed construction accounted for 23% of the total, which is a huge improvement from just the previous month in December when it was only 15%. And so for full year 2022, new homes sold were 644,000, down 16% from full year 2021 at 771,000 units. And meanwhile, with the lumber prices, the same three that are on the previous graph with the U.S. housing starts, your western spruce, eastern spruce, and southern pine 2x4s, which are all meet the building code and are used for home building across Canada and the U.S. You can see toward the end of that line on the right, as we are getting into this year, it was dropping into winter as it normally does, and now is ticking up a little bit. And so what will that mean for housing in February and March? We'll have to find out when that data starts to come out. So here again, we have those same items, the top three lines, western spruce, southern pine, and eastern spruce. You can see the week of February 24th compared to the previous week, somewhat of a drop, but compared to the previous month, increasing. And so this suggests that while the market is soft, while lumber buying is just in time or only for immediate needs, there is potential for an uptick coming into the next couple of months during March and April as the spring weather comes on. What these numbers suggest to me is that we've seen the bottom there a month ago when the western spruce was 373, as I was telling you. As you can see, southern pine was 423 compared to now 517. And you can see eastern spruce was 473 compared to now 490. And so look out to watch Madison's to see what the prices are doing over March. And that'll tell you when the March data for housing in April comes out. Okay, great. Good, and I hope that explains things a bit to people. It's really just a tippy-top overview, very quick summary of what we do here at Madison's every week. We track 500 individual softwood lumber and panel prices that we publish every Friday morning to our customers. And so if you like what you see here in the video, click like so that it will get recommended to other viewers, and click subscribe here on YouTube so that you'll be notified the next time I make another video. If you really want to see more, in the caption is a link to my website, madisonsreport.com, and along the top there's a menu to subscribe. If you scroll to the bottom of that, you'll be able to fill out an order form to get a sample. And we will send you the full list of the 500 individual softwood lumber panel commodity prices and what the prices are for that week. And we will send you the commentary that goes into the dashboard that my subscribers can see every Friday to explain why those prices are changing. Okay, and so in that way, you don't have to wait for weeks when I have time to make a YouTube, or when we put that small little snapshot on the website. You'll be able to get the prices on Friday in the morning for that week when they come out.